Hello and welcome everyone. And till now we have discussed what are the problems that are caused by the ingress of water into the structure. And that's why the waterproofing treatment becomes very important. So today we are going to discuss what is the materials which is being used for the treatments of waterproofing and what are the different techniques, just an introduction to those techniques. Okay, so, as far as waterproofing is concerned, a building is waterproofed and it is a process which is designed to prevent water ingress or penetration of water into the building. Now, usually people do extensive waterproofing measures and they all are being done while at the time of construction only, so that the moisture could be provided from the very beginning. Okay, so the water ingress or the penetration is controlled from the start only. So even if the waterproofing has been done at the time of construction, but there are chances that waterproofing may also be required to be done after a building is built, and to address those issues we may have to do waterproofing again, even as a part of maintenance or as a part of building retrofitting. So retrofitting of building means the maintenance or rehabilitation or repairing of the building parts. Okay, so basically waterproofing has to be done at few very important and critical potential points, and those are the parts of the building which mainly include like the water closet, bathrooms, terrace, roofs and chhajjas, basement, swimming pools, underground ducts, and then it is the underground water tanks, or it may be the overhead water tanks. So, waterproofing maintains the appearance of the building not just from external vision but also from the internal sides also, and it consequently increases the lifespan of the structure. Now, how waterproofing helps in improving the lifespan of a structure? So, this is explained in the next slide. And in this, we have discussed 4 points. First one is the construction waterproofing, safer foundation, healthier environment, and eliminating insect or rodent growths. So, all these 4 points will help us in understanding how waterproofing exactly increases the lifespan of a structure, and that's why we go for waterproofing. So in the construction phase, when the building is in construction, a structure needs to be waterproofed, since concrete itself will not be watertight, as we have discussed, because concrete is mainly made on the site and there are different parameters that can vary on the site. So concrete, which could have been made watertight, becomes porous, and because it becomes porous, the water can slowly pass from one side to the other side. But of course the concrete can be made waterproof also by the addition of few additives, chemicals, or some powders or some admixtures, but that addition we do not do usually. Okay, and there are different traditional and conventional method of waterproofing which mainly involves the application of membranes. Now these membranes are the 2D films or the layers which is used on the surface basically, and this method of waterproofing basically relies on the application of one or more layers of membrane, because one membrane may not work, so we provide different layers of membrane. Okay, it may be that we may be using 5 layers of membrane, and such membranes are available in the market also. So these different membranes can be of the material bitumen, silicate, PVC, and EPDM, etc. So these membranes actually acts as a barrier between the water and the building structure, and that's why they prevent the passage of water also. Now waterproofing also makes the foundation very safer, because when the foundation is exposed to the weather condition like heavy rain and sunlight, so heavy rain and sunlight are the two contradictory environmental situation, and if there is alteration, there are good chances that the structure will fail, and that's why they cause structural problems. And if in that situation, if our element is made up of wood, and if those wooden decks are not properly waterproofed, then in the course of time we will be noticing the discoloration, and the color will fade away, and there will be water stains, rotting, and the growth of fungus on the surface of the wooden elements. And not only these wooden elements, but also the walls of the foundation has to be waterproofed, because the walls are constantly being subjected to the hydrostatic pressure of pore water pressure which is inside the soil, and they are all around the walls of the foundation, and this constant hydrostatic pressure leads to the development of cracks and leakage on the surface of the walls and floors of the foundation. Now, the waterproofing also helps in making the environment healthy, because the humidity and moisture is what the molds and mildew want, and the molds and mildew are the common examples of the fungus growth that happen in the humid regions. Okay, and this mold and mildew could cause respiratory problems like asthma, and may also trigger allergic reactions. So there is no way to remove these fungi spores inside the house. The only thing that could remove such growth would be to control the moisture. Okay. So these molds do not grow on the walls or on the areas where there are less moisture. Okay. So it can grow very easily if there are moisture, whether it be the wood or maybe the carpet, or even if it is the food. So we have to reduce humidity and the moisture in those regions, and we may have to go for the prevention of condensation that may be happening, and by opening the aeration or ventilation windows, or by using humidity absorber machines, or by using exhaust fans in the kitchens, so that the water seepage and the growth of mold and mildew may be decreased. Okay, and through these ways the environment will become healthier. Now, waterproofing also helps in eliminating the growth of insects as well as the rodents. So there are various kinds of insects, including the water bugs, cockroaches, beetles, and critters that find a heaven in the area which is damp or humid or full of moisture. So basically, the wet basements are ideal for wood boring insects like termites to reproduce. So these termites or rodents could cause damage not only to the foundation, but also they become very important to be controlled if we are going to store anything inside our house, whether it may be the clothes, or it may be the grocery, or it may be some resources which may be used for our future purposes. So everything gets destroyed by these rodents and the insects slowly and slowly. And sometime what happens, they destroy almost everything, all the furnitures, all the grocery, and all the stored items, so much so that they are just beneath our eyes and they are not felt, and everything gets destroyed in due course of time. So commonly people in those situations try to kill the insects or rodents by using some chemicals, but an expert would suggest that they should address the root cause behind development of those insects and rodents, and that is because there is dampness or the humidity available in those regions. So in spite of killing those insects or rodents every season and getting our things destroyed, we should rather go for the permanent solution, and that is the waterproofing. Okay, so these are the importance of waterproofing behind the development of lifespan of a structure. So there are different materials that we use in the waterproofing treatments. So the very first material is the cement, And we normally use OPC, ordinary Portland cement, and that is used for most of the waterproofing works also. And there are different types and properties of OPC which we choose as per the need. Next is the sand, and which type of sand we go for? We choose clean sand that is coming from the river. And why we go for clean river sand? Because if it is muddy, then again it will be the source of development of humidity. So if the sand is muddy, then sand has to be washed before using it in waterproofing treatment. And then we also use metal, and those metals have to be hard angular metals of size varying from 12 mm to 20 mm, and those metals are also used in waterproofing works. And then comes the brick bat. Now these brick bats should be well burnt pieces of bricks, the normal bricks that we use. So they should be well burnt, they should not be either underburnt, and they should neither be the overburnt. So we want well burnt pieces of bricks, okay, that we normally use, and they should have proper thickness also, okay. And those brick bat can be used for the waterproofing treatment also. Now there are different types of waterproofing chemicals and powders that are available in market, and that is also profoundly being used for waterproofing treatment. And some of the chemicals include, the first one will be the, of course, tar and the bitumen based compounds, which we also used in the construction of roads. And then comes the use of inorganic compounds with little percentage of chlorides and sulfates. Third is the acrylic based compounds. Now these are the compounds which can be used to paint the surface almost. Acrylic based compounds, that way we use also acrylic paints also, okay. The next chemical is the epoxy resins. Now these resins, as the name suggests, they are used to be fill a crack or a leakage somewhere, and they form adhesive bond between the materials, okay. Next is the silicones. Use of silicones is also used for waterproofing. And next is the use of polysulfides and polyurethanes. So these chemicals are also used for waterproofing treatments. So if we talk of waterproofing chemicals, and if we discuss about the bitumen, it is the most commonly used waterproofing material. And bitumen is generally mixed with a filler component such as limestone or sand. So when it is mixed with such fillers, then the polymers are added to the bitumen, and those polymers can be either APP, atactic polypropylene, a plastic additive that gives rigidity and tear resistance, or we may add different polymers which is also known as SBS, styrene butadiene styrene. It's a rubber additive that gives more elastic benefits. So we can add any of these two polymers in the bitumen which is mixed with a filler component, which may be limestone or sand. Now there are some base products also, and they can be polyester, fiberglass, rag fiber and paper. So all these base products are also used with bitumen for the waterproofing treatments. So these products come in a roll format, and they are pulled through the bitumen mixes on huge rollers, and then they are pressed, okay. And these base products, when mixed in huge tanks by the tar like bitumen substance, creating rolls of waterproof materials. And we can use these base products as the waterproof material also, like it is shown in the figures also. In this case we are using fiberglass, and in this case we are directly using the bitumen, okay. So there are different techniques of waterproofing, and you can have a look on all the figures. So the first one is the spray waterproofing, and in this figure the person is holding a spray and he is spraying on the surface where waterproofing has to be done. Now in the next figure you see it is the sheet membrane waterproofing. So here membranes are used, okay, and membrane can be of multi-layered also. So here one sheet membrane is used for the waterproofing. Now here in this figure it is the cavity wall waterproofing, and here the walls have been covered by some waterproof materials also. And in this figure it is the surface applied coating. Again here coating of a waterproof material is made on the surface. And in the next figure is the hot rubber waterproofing. So in this case the surface is covered with a rubber membrane, and it was done in a hot situation so that the rubber stick with the surface, creating a impervious barrier. Next is the blind side waterproofing, and we have seen it. Sometimes we cover the walls by a black or the white waterproof materials. Okay, now there are few more ways of waterproofing, and you can see this is the deck coating or the traffic topping of the surface. So this is also another way of waterproofing. And there can be minor or major concrete repair waterproofing. Somewhere concrete has to be repaired, so this is also being done. And then there is the epoxyl GS and carbon fiber Fillmore waterproofing. So in this case epoxy resins are being used. Okay, and then the carbon fibers are spread over these epoxy resins. Then we also have the expansion joint systems of waterproofing. So here we cover the expansion joints with appropriate materials, and there are design specification for covering these expansion joints in the IS code also. And next is the epoxy healer sealer type of waterproofing, and this is being done in the garages. So basically garages are in the basements, and in the basements there are good chances that water will start accumulating if waterproofing is not done properly. So these basements and parking areas becomes very important to be waterproofed. All right, now if we talk of the waterproofing membranes, so waterproofing membrane system includes both negative and positive side waterproofing. Now what is this negative and positive side waterproofing? Positive side waterproofing system are applied to the face of the element that is directly exposed to moisture or the exterior faces. Okay, and the negative side waterproofing systems are applied to the surface of the element opposite to the surface exposed to moisture. So positive systems are available in numerous materials and forms, and negative systems are limited to cementitious systems. So basically we do negative side waterproofing just by applying a coating of cementitious substance like OPC cements. All right, and then we do the positive side waterproofing by use of different membranes. And as I said you that waterproofing membranes are multi-layered. So you can see this is a figure of waterproofing membrane, and it is a 5-layered material. I hope you must be seeing it. So the first layer of the waterproofing membrane is the colored granule. Now colored granules are made to have a better appearance and better texture over the surface of these membranes. Now the second layer is the SPS, styrene butadiene styrene modified bitumen. Okay, and then is the layer of non-woven polyester, and then there is layer of SBS modified bitumen again, and the last layer is of the polyethylene film, which is the silicone release film. So this is the figure of 5-layered waterproofing membrane. So in this way there are different types of waterproofing membrane, and there are different number of layers also depending on the needs. Okay, now waterproofing membranes can also be classified into 4 types, and they are cementitious system, sheet membrane system, fluid applied system, and bentonite glaze system. So these are the 4 different system of waterproofing membrane system, and in all these 4 types we are trying to make a waterproof membrane over the structure so that it could act as an impervious barrier for the passage of water. So the first one is the cementitious system, and this is the figure of cementitious system of waterproofing, and these system contain Portland cement with and sand combined with an active waterproofing agent, and these system include metallic crystalline, chemical additive, and acrylic modified systems. So these systems can be applied as negative or positive side waterproofing. So the benefit of cementitious system of waterproofing is that it can be very effectively used as negative side of waterproofing, and of course we can use it as positive side waterproofing also. So cementitious system of waterproofing basically use the Portland cement with the sand and few waterproofing agent, and this type of waterproofing is generally done inside our homes also. Now the next type of waterproofing membrane is the sheet membrane system. Now in this case the sheet membranes are used in below grade applications, and they are similar to the materials used in roofing applications, and they include thermoplastics, vulcanized rubbers, and rubberized asphalts. So these are the different materials of the sheet membranes, and thickness of these membranes varies from 20 to 120 millimeters. Okay, so this type of sheet membrane is generally done in case of tanks or the basements or the footings, and generally people go for sheet membrane system of waterproofing also. Next type of waterproofing membrane is the fluid applied systems. Now this is the figure of fluid applied systems of waterproofing membrane, and in these systems we include urethanes, rubbers, plastics, and modified asphalts. So fluid membranes are applied as a liquid, and we cure that fluid applied system to form one monolithic seamless sheet. So basically we first of all power the liquid over the surface, and then we allow it to cool down or cure it. Okay, and fluid systems can be applied to vertical means the walls, and the horizontal application. Horizontal means the floors or the slabs or the terrace. For foundation wall applications, typical fluid applied systems are of thickness 60 millimeters. Okay, and the next type of waterproofing membrane is the bentonite clays type, and this is the natural clay system of waterproofing membrane, and they are known as bentonite, and waterproofing is done here by the swelling action. And when these bentonite clays are exposed to moisture, thus becoming impervious to water, these clay have got a property of being impervious to water, and swelling can be up to the 10 to 15% of the thickness of the base material, and the clay panels and the sheets are popular for use in blind side waterproofing applications such as on retaining earth systems and elevator and sump pits, and in those regions we use bentonite clays type of waterproofing membranes. So these are the different types of waterproofing membranes which are basically used for waterproofing the structures. So we will be discussing how we waterproof different elements and different potential critical points inside our buildings like water closets and bathrooms and kitchens and basements, roofs, terraces and chhajas and tanks also in the upcoming videos. So till that, stay tuned and stay safe. Thank you.